The castle courtyard trembled under the weight of silence as dawn's chill clung to the air. Sir Cedric said, "We stand ready, though my heart falters." King Aldric's stern eyes searched the horizon, his breath heavy with doubt. The torches flickered against the stone walls, throwing shadows that danced like restless spirits. Eleanor, clutching her cloak, whispered, "This is not justice, it is fear." The guards shifted uneasily, armor creaking like chains dragged across stone. Marcus, the king's advisor, leaned closer and said, "The kingdom demands strength, not hesitation." The reluctant hero's hands shook as the condemned prisoner, bound and bloodied, was forced to kneel. A raven screeched overhead, slicing the silence like a curse. The king raised his hand, torn between mercy and resolve, as thunder growled faintly beyond the hill. The thunder echoed across the hills as the prisoner's eyes lifted, burning with defiance. He said, "This kingdom will drown in its own lies." The crowd gasped, and the guards pushed him down with brutal force. King Aldric's chest heaved, torn between justice and pity. Marcus whispered, "Mercy breeds weakness." Sir Cedric clenched his jaw, his conscience clawing against his duty. Eleanor's voice trembled as she cried, "Please, this will curse us all." A raven's shadow swept across the courtyard, dark as omen. The king's hand wavered as the silence thickened, each heartbeat like a drum before war. The silence shattered as the prisoner spat blood onto the stones, his words a curse upon the king. "Your crown is built on betrayal," he snarled. The villagers recoiled, whispers rising like sparks. Marcus leaned close, urging, "End him now before doubt consumes you." Sir Cedric's heart hammered, each word of the prisoner echoing in his chest. Eleanor covered her mouth, tears streaking her cheeks as she shook her head. The king's breath came heavy, the weight of history pressing against his chest. A storm growled in the distance, thunder rolling like the voice of fate. King Aldric's hand trembled, caught between mercy and power. He said, "To spare him may shatter order, but to kill him may damn us all." The crowd murmured in anxious waves, the sound swelling like restless seas. Marcus pressed, "History remembers strength, not hesitation." Sir Cedric's gaze fell to the sword at his side, fear and duty warring within him. Eleanor's voice cracked, "Mercy is not weakness. It is humanity." A sudden gust extinguished a torch, plunging part of the courtyard into shadow. The omen deepened, the storm whispering closer as the moment of judgment neared. The king lowered his hands slowly, his voice trembling as he said, "The judgment will wait." Gasps rippled across the courtyard, shock tightening every throat. Marcus's eyes narrowed, fury flashing like a blade in the dark. Sir Cedric exhaled sharply, relief and dread entwined in his chest. Eleanor clutched her cloak, whispering, "You have spared us, for now." The prisoner raised his head, a faint smirk twisting across his battered lips. The storm broke at last, rain falling hard upon stone and steel. Lightning split the sky, as if the heavens themselves bore witness to the curse that had begun. Rain drummed against the castle roof as dawn stretched pale light across the horizon. Sir Cedric sat alone in the barracks, his sword laid across his knees, thoughts heavy as stone. He whispered, "Mercy has spared blood, but not the storm within." The memory of the prisoner's smirk carved into his mind, sharp as a blade. Eleanor entered quietly, her eyes swollen from tears, her cloak damp with rain. She said, "You carry their weight more than any crown ever could." He turned, voice breaking, "I swore loyalty to a kingdom that may no longer deserve it." The thunder outside echoed the war inside his chest. King Aldric stood at the high window of his chamber, storm clouds painting the sky black. His hand gripped the sill, knuckles white. He murmured, "The crown is iron, yet it cuts deeper than any blade." Marcus stepped from the shadows, eyes narrow, voice sharp as steel. "The people must see you as unyielding, or doubt will tear them apart." The king's face twisted with anguish, his reflection fractured in the rain-streaked glass. "Strength without mercy is a throne of bones," Aldric whispered. Marcus replied, "Then build it high before you are buried beneath it." The storm growled like history itself. In the chapel, Eleanor knelt before flickering candles, the scent of smoke heavy in the air. She whispered, "If mercy damns us, let faith shield us." Her voice shook as she prayed for the prisoner, for the king, and for Cedric's soul. The chapel door creaked, and Sir Cedric entered, shoulders heavy with guilt. He said, "Every path feels like treachery, and my silence becomes betrayal." Eleanor's eyes filled with tears, her hand trembling toward him. "Then speak, before silence destroys us all." The wind howled through the cracked windows, carrying whispers like ghosts of the forgotten. The village square lay silent, stalls abandoned, rain pooling in the mud. The innocent witness, a young messenger named Thomas, clutched a soaked parchment, his hands trembling. He whispered, "If I speak, I may die. If I hide, the kingdom will." His wide eyes darted as soldiers marched past, their boots striking like war drums. A raven swooped low, scattering puddles, its cry splitting the silence. Thomas hid in the shadow of a shuttered shop, heart pounding as the words on the parchment burned his palms. The secret he carried could shatter the kingdom, if ever revealed. Night fell heavy over the courtyard, torches hissing in the rain. King Aldric sat alone upon the throne, shadows crowding his face. He said, "The people see strength, but they cannot see the man beneath the crown." Marcus entered, voice low and sharp, "A crown's weight is not for men, but for kings." Aldric's jaw clenched as silence stretched like a noose. Sir Cedric appeared at the edge of the hall, armor dripping with rain. He said, "Your mercy has given life, but it may have planted death." The words echoed, and the king's crown seemed heavier than iron. The council chamber swelled with tension, banners heavy with damp from the storm. King Aldric said, "The people grow restless, their whispers sharpen into blades." Marcus's eyes gleamed as he replied, "Then strike before the whispers grow into war." Sir Cedric shifted uneasily, his voice low, "Every strike leaves a scar upon the kingdom." Eleanor, seated near the chamber doors, whispered fiercely, "Scars may never heal if truth remains buried." The silence fractured as thunder roared, shaking the stained glass windows. Each breath carried the weight of decision, as loyalty and betrayal wove tighter around the crown. The prisoner's cell reeked of damp straw and rusted iron. Shackled to the wall, he lifted his head as Thomas slipped inside, parchment hidden in his sleeve. The prisoner rasped, "Even chains cannot silence truth." Thomas whispered, "If they discover me, I am dead." The man's smirk carried a bitter pride. "Then die with meaning, boy, for silence feeds tyrants." The torch sputtered as shadows crawled across the stones, binding the boy's fear. Outside, footsteps approached, the rattle of keys sharp as knives. The choice pressed upon Thomas like a blade against his throat. The market square erupted with whispers as soldiers patrolled, their boots heavy on cobblestones. Eleanor moved through the crowd, cloak drawn tight, eyes searching faces. She thought, "Truth hides in plain sight, yet danger lurks in every shadow." A merchant muttered, "The king falters, the people will pay." Sir Cedric emerged from an alley, his armor covered with mud, voice urgent. "Stay close, Eleanor, spies trail even the walls." Her hand trembled on his arm, whispering, "The kingdom bleeds while its crown trembles." Overhead, ravens circled, their cries shrill warnings against the storm of rebellion rising. In the dim war chamber, maps sprawled across the table like wounds of the land. Marcus traced lines with his finger, voice sharp. The borders weaken, enemies circle like wolves. King Aldric clenched his jaw, replying, "If we break first, the kingdom falls." Sir Cedric's voice rose, "Then we must bind the people, not bleed them." Marcus's gaze burned. "Compassion is weakness, Cedric, and weakness kills kingdoms." Silence suffocated the chamber, only the crackle of fire speaking. Each word carved deeper into the rift between duty, mercy, and betrayal. Night cloaked the castle courtyard, torches casting unsteady light. Thomas slipped along the shadows, parchment pressed to his chest. His whisper trembled, If they catch me, I am finished." A guard turned suddenly, spear scraping stone. Thomas froze, breath caught, heart pounding like war drums. From the battlements above, Marcus watched, suspicion flickering in his sharp eyes. He muttered, "Secrets slither in the dark, and I will cut them out." Lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the boy's pale face. Fate crept closer with every step, chains of silence rattling around the kingdom. The storm eased into a cold drizzle as whispers filled the council hall. Eleanor stood near the great doors, voice trembling. The prisoner spoke of betrayal within these walls. King Aldric's eyes narrowed, his voice sharp. "Betrayal comes not from enemies, but from those who share our table." Marcus stepped forward, words cutting. "Then strike at shadows before shadows strike at you." Sir Cedric's jaw clenched as he said, "A kingdom cannot survive truth buried in silence." The tension cracked like a drawn bowstring. Lightning lit the chamber, and with it, the first seeds of revelation. Thomas stumbled into the chapel, soaked and breathless, clutching the parchment. He whispered to Eleanor, the words within "Damn Marcus." Her eyes widened as she unrolled the paper, symbols of treachery scrawled in ink. "This is not rumor, it is proof," she breathed. Cedric entered, his eyes darting. If this is true, the kingdom itself is poisoned. Outside, bells tolled, their sound heavy with foreboding. Parchment shook in Eleanor's trembling hands, truth and danger woven together. In that moment, shadows seemed to draw closer, as if listening to the secret now laid bare. King Aldric sat in the throne hall, as Eleanor and Cedric approached with the parchment. Eleanor's voice broke. "The words reveal betrayal in your council, my king." Marcus's face darkened, his tone calm yet sharp. "Lies are easy, ink upon parchment." Cedric placed a hand on his sword, growling, "The ink bleeds with truth, and your silence betrays you." The king's grip tightened on his throne, torn between loyalty and revelation. The storm outside rattled the great doors. Shadows stretched across Marcus's face, his smile faint, as though the truth had long been waiting. The prisoner was dragged once more into the courtyard, chains clattering as thunder rolled. His eyes burned with fierce triumph. "Now you see the serpent among you." The crowd gasped, whispers rising like fire in dry grass. Marcus's voice cut the air. "A liar's tongue drips poison. Do not drink from it." Sir Cedric stepped forward shouting, "Your words drip with treason, Marcus." The king's face blanched, caught between faith and fear. Eleanor cried, "The parchment proves it." The storm swelled, rain hammering down as truth and betrayal crashed together like steel in battle. The storm broke in fury as Marcus's voice roared. "I did what must be done. The kingdom survives because I hold its throat." Gasps tore from the crowd as the mask of loyalty shattered. King Aldric's voice thundered, "You betrayed your king and your blood." Marcus's eyes blazed with defiance. History bows to strength, not to mercy. Cedric unsheathed his sword, steel flashing in the lightning. Eleanor whispered, "This curse has torn us apart." The prisoner laughed bitterly, his voice carried by rain. The kingdom trembled as truth finally unmasked the betrayer within. The throne hall was choked with silence after Marcus's confession. King Aldric sat frozen, his crown heavy as stone. He whispered, "My trust has birthed ruin." Eleanor's voice quivered, "The people will not forgive this treachery." Sir Cedric stood firm, hand tight on his sword. "The serpent is revealed, but its venom has already spread." Marcus smirked, his chains rattling as guards seized him. "Without me, your kingdom crumbles." The storm outside pounded like drums of war. Aldric's eyes burned with grief, the burden of every choice pressing upon his soul like iron. In the dungeons below, Marcus leaned against the wall, chains biting his wrists. He hissed, "You cannot cage truth. My allies already move." Thomas, pale with fear, whispered to Cedric, "If his words are true, the kingdom is already burning." Cedric's jaw tightened, his voice sharp. "Then we must strike before the fire consumes us." Eleanor's voice broke as she said, "Strike too quickly, and you become what you despise." The flickering torchlight revealed faces etched with doubt. Outside, the faint sound of distant bells rang like warnings carried on the wind. The village square erupted with unrest, torches raised by trembling hands. A villager shouted, "The council has betrayed us." Guards pushed the crowd back, their spears clashing against shields. Eleanor's cloak whipped in the wind as she cried, "Hold fast, the truth will prevail." Cedric's voice thundered, "If we turn on each other, the kingdom is lost." But Marcus' words echoed in their ears like poison. Strength alone rules history. The crowd roared, torn between faith and fury. Rain drenched the flames, yet the fire of rebellion burned hotter in their hearts. King Aldric walked alone through the shattered library, shelves burned from past raids. He touched a scorched tome, whispering, "Every word of history bleeds with betrayal." The shadow figure emerged from the smoke, cloaked in black, voice cold. "The kingdom has many enemies, my king. Marcus was never alone." Aldric's breath caught, his eyes narrowing. "Then the serpent had more heads than I feared." The figure's presence lingered, neither enemy nor ally. "Choose wisely," it said, "for mercy and death often wear the same mask." Thunder rolled, shaking the stones as truth grew darker still. Night cloaked the castle walls as Cedric and Eleanor stood overlooking the restless fires of rebellion. Cedric whispered, "The people turn against us, poisoned by Marcus's lies." Eleanor's eyes glistened with fear. Lies rooted in truths too long buried. He clenched his fists, armor rattling. "Then we must carve a path, no matter the cost." She touched his arm, voice breaking. "Cost is measured in lives, Cedric, and mercy bleeds with every choice." Far below, villagers shouted, their voices rising like thunder. The kingdom teetered, its fate balanced on the edge of a sword. The courtyard was alive with chaos, rain hammering stone as villagers clashed with guards. King Aldric raised his sword, shouting, "This kingdom will not fall to betrayal." Marcus, chained yet unbroken, roared back, "It already has, and your crown is its curse." Sir Cedric pushed through the mob, armor dented, voice thundering, "This ends tonight, no more shadows." Eleanor clutched the parchment, crying, "Truth cannot be buried in blood." Lightning cracked the sky, illuminating fear and fury carved into every face. The kingdom itself seemed to tremble as war broke within its heart. Torches hissed in the downpour as Marcus's allies surged from hidden alleys, blades flashing. Cedric shouted, "Stand your ground!" His sword clashed with steel, sparks lighting the rain. Eleanor pulled Thomas behind her, whispering, "Stay alive, no matter what." The boy clutched his tunic, terror in his eyes. King Aldric struck fiercely, crown glinting with stormlight. He cried, "History will not remember your lies." Marcus sneered, voice carrying, "It remembers only victors, not martyrs." The courtyard rang with steel and screams, thunder roaring above, as rebellion ignited in full. The prisoner broke free amid the chaos, chains snapping as he seized a fallen blade. His voice cut through rain. "This is the kingdom's reckoning." Cedric turned, blocking his strike. "You seek vengeance, not justice," he growled. Eleanor shouted, "Stop, this blood will curse us all." Aldric's eyes widened, torn between fighting enemies and the man who once bore truth. Marcus laughed bitterly. "See how your savior thirsts for blood." The prisoner lunged, steel clashing as sparks lit the storm. The line between hero and betrayer blurred as thunder swallowed the night. Inside the war chamber, the shadow figure appeared again, voice like steel. "You cannot fight every enemy, my king. Choose one path before all paths are lost." Aldric slammed his hand on the map table, shouting, "Every choice tears the kingdom apart." Cedric entered, blade dripping, eyes fierce. "Marcus must die, or his poison will spread forever." Eleanor stood behind him, whispering, "But killing him makes us no better." The shadow figure's cloak swayed, face hidden. "Mercy or death, either binds your fate." Thunder cracked, shaking the chamber as decision loomed. The storm reached its peak as Marcus was dragged to the steps of the throne. His voice rang out, "Strike me down, and my curse binds this crown forever." Aldric's hand shook on his sword, his face carved with anguish. Cedric pressed forward shouting, "End this, free the kingdom." Eleanor cried, "Killing him feeds the curse." The prisoner laughed bitterly, "Blood or mercy both betray you." Lightning split the sky, throwing every shadow sharp. Aldric raised his blade, torn between justice and damnation, as the fate of the kingdom balanced on the edge of steel. The throne hall echoed with silence as Aldric's sword clattered to the floor. He whispered, "I will not be remembered as a butcher." Marcus sneered, "Then you are weak, and weakness kills kingdoms." Cedric's voice shook with fury. "No, mercy is strength forged in fire." Eleanor stepped forward, cloak heavy with rain, and cried, "Truth will outlive lies, no matter the cost." Marcus's smirk faltered as guards dragged him away. The storm eased, leaving only the sound of dripping stone. The kingdom stood on the edge of ruin, yet hope flickered faintly in the dark. The prisoner, still bound, watched as Marcus vanished into the shadows of the dungeon. He spat bitterly, "Mercy spares snakes, and snakes always return." Cedric snapped, "Enough. The kingdom bleeds already." Eleanor whispered, "He is right to fear, Cedric. The wound is deep." Aldric turned toward them, eyes hollow. "I chose mercy, yet mercy may doom us." The prisoner laughed darkly, his voice echoing like a curse. Outside, bells tolled over the battered city, each peal a reminder of the kingdom's fragile survival. The future loomed heavy, uncertain as storm clouds. In the chapel, Eleanor lit a single candle, its flame trembling in the silence. She whispered, "If the curse is real, let faith shield us." Cedric entered, removing his battered helm. "Faith alone cannot hold a kingdom." His voice cracked with exhaustion. She touched his hand gently. "Then let courage bind what betrayal has broken." Aldric appeared at the doorway, shadows stretching across the stone floor. "Courage and mercy are all we have left." The flame wavered as the storm's last echo rolled through the land, fragile but unextinguished, like the kingdom itself. The village square smoldered from the night's unrest, smoke rising from broken stalls. Thomas walked among the ruins, parchment clutched tightly, eyes wide. He whispered, "The kingdom endures, though scarred forever." Villagers gathered, their faces weary, children clinging to mothers. Eleanor raised her voice, "This land still breathes, though sorrow weighs upon it." Cedric stood beside her, declaring, "We will rebuild, stone by stone, oath by oath." The people bowed their heads, grief heavy, but a spark of hope flickered. Smoke curled into the sky like a prayer carried on the wind. Night fell again, quiet and heavy. On the battlements, Aldrich stood alone, gazing over the kingdom. His voice cracked, "History will not remember mercy, only ruin." Cedric approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. "History remembers those who endure," Eleanor whispered, "and those who dared to hope." The prisoner's laugh echoed faintly from the dungeons below, like a curse yet unbroken. A raven soared into the night, wings black against the moon. Aldrich turned away, his crown glinting in the pale light, walking into shadow. The kingdom lived, but forever torn apart.